welcome to another episode of Talk This. It's dangerous to podcast alone. It's a side quest, and as usual, I'm your introductory host, Madelyn, but not as usual. This week, we've got kind of a side quest 2.8, or a side quest combo, or something to that effect, because in addition to our usual 10 minutes of content, we've also got some bonus scenes at the end, where Emma and I are going to pick the shows for next week's podcast, because we forgot last week. It's like we're developers who didn't get to include everything we wanted to include, and now we're going back, except this game is free, so let's jump in.
So I've just been accepted to work at Envision's George Mason Game and Technology Academy this summer, starting in just like a little over a week, so that's kind of exciting. I'm not, like teaching or anything because I don't actually know that much about game design. But I'm going to be working there, and, George Mason has like an incredible game design department, and the students there are going to be learning some things, and there'll be conferences going on during the period of the camp. So, I'm very excited about it. I'm really hoping that it'll help me know more about games, and of course, when I do, I'll make sure to share any and all knowledge I get from this experience with you. So just wanted to share that news from my life with all of you listeners out there.
Here's my shocking video game news for the casual gamer news story of the week. It's not really a news story, except that I found out that Age of Mythology has an expansion pack that was released last year that I didn't know about. Age of Mythology is like definitely one of my top 5 games of all time, and apparently in 2016, like 13 years after the original game was released, they released a Chinese themed expansion pack called Year of the Dragon. It doesn't get great reviews or anything, like it's more just a mod than really an expansion pack like the Titans one was, but still, I'm upset. I waited for this. I wanted there to be another one for years, and there wasn't, and now they only release it now that I don't really have my discs for Age of Mythology anymore, or they're lost somewhere, or they're scratched, or they're dusty on Steam. So I have to buy the Age of Mythology on Steam. This is another Steam-powered racket, ladies and gentlemen, but I still might cough up the cash.
I've been playing Telltale's Guardians of the Galaxy lately. And I have to tell you, like, putting aside the janky walking animation and the fact that really they just need to update their engine somehow, like, it doesn't look awesome, but, like, it's so much more kind of involved than any of their other games because there's all this technology sort of stuff that they've integrated into the game. I mean, one thing, the fact that they've made all their, like, QuickTime events really stylized to try to blend them in really is not helpful to noticing when there's a QuickTime event happening. But, like, there's times in between, like, main story events where you can just wander around your ship and talk to people and call people. And it's like, I feel so dumb having played the second episode and realized that I could have, like, called ahead to warn someone about an attack because I didn't think of it because I'm not used to having to be that involved in a Telltale game. So that's something.
I continued my trek through The Last of Us this week, and while I am steadily sort of improving in that I did actually manage to kill some enemies with my gun this week, so I guess that's an open possibility, not just sneaking around now, I have one little pet peeve, and that's when the game's non-player characters don't seem to follow their own rules. Like, my companions are like running around, talking all the time, while we've got these zombies walking around, these zombies that sense sound and movement, and they can just run around, and they can just talk to me and be like, here, there's a zombie. It's like, shut up. I know there's a zombie there. I need you to hold still because you're giving me a heart attack. It's ridiculous. They run around where the other characters can clearly see them, and meanwhile, I'm like inching super quiet. I don't know what the complexities of making them behave properly in these situations are, but it seems like it shouldn't be that hard.
Some late breaking news, guys. I'm recording this on Sunday, and at 2 a.m. in the morning, the new Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer from E3 just dropped, and it's always so exciting whenever there's anything from this game, because, you know, they just gave us like a 3-year window for release, which makes it kind of hard to pin down where in development they actually are. But they actually released a trailer that has both a ton of gameplay content and a ton of story. And a couple of things I'm really excited about is, one, they seem to be bringing back the flow motion, which I don't think I'd seen in a trailer before, but the flow motion from Dream Drop Distance, which is a really cool feature, and also the shot lock from Birth by Sleep, which I also don't know if I had seen before. But those are two of the best features from those games, and I'm really glad that they're actually bringing together all these different experimental gameplay elements. And also, he's trying to bring Roxas back, so that's good. There's too much to talk about in a minute. I have to stop here. Oh no.
We, your hosts of Talk This, have embarked on a sort of side quest of our own in our podcast managings, and that over the past week or so, we've been working really hard to get our show notes up to date. If you haven't looked at our show notes, well, you'd be forgiven because they haven't been up to date in several months. But basically, we've got these great, now they're in PowerPoint form, selections of stuff about the video games that we talk about, that's now up on our website. For some games, we're still very behind. We are catching up just a little bit faster than the rate at which we record episodes, so maybe by 2020 or so, we'll have caught up to where we are. But it's been really kind of interesting and tedious, which is just about how I think of side quests. Well, not these side quests. These side quests are fascinating. You always want to tune in for the Talk This side quest. I'm really just like digging myself into a hole, and it just gets deeper and deeper. In summary, show notes. They're there if you want to learn.
There was a really packed first quarter this year in terms of game releases. And now that it's slowed down, I'm feeling a little lost. Like, there's nothing out that I want to play. I know people were talking about Prey for a while, but that's not, like, it's a first-person shooter. That's not going to be something that I can play, unfortunately. And now, like, I finished Nier Automata, as I'm sure you know, and Persona 5, as I'm sure you know, and now I've just got nothing, because the games that I was playing before I got distracted by those games are so far removed from my mind now that I don't remember how anything works, or where I was in the story, or what was happening. So that would mean that I really have to go back and start a new game, or at least figure out some way, in the case of like Final Fantasy 15, where I'm like at the very end, figure out some way I could figure out the game controls without like dying a billion times. So yeah, it's been kind of unenthusiastic there.
Guys, the Tony Awards are tonight. Woo! Theater dork alert. You may have seen going around your Facebook, you know, those Facebook profile kind of cover image things that say theater inspires, and I have a lot of like reaction to that, even as a person who does theater, but whatever. But what I wanted to talk about is if you were gonna make a sort of video games banner for the profile picture, what would we want it to say? I mean, video games inspire seems like kind of dumb and whatever, but also not entirely untrue. It's just interesting. I don't see like people rallying around video games as an art form in the same ways they do like theater or music or dance or reading and writing. Even though, of course, we at Talk This think it's just as worthy of a form. So putting that out to you viewers, if you were going to make sort of a little 2-second Facebook pitch for video games to put on my profile, what would you say? Let me know.
Our dog Cappy really likes to sit in people's laps, which I know is like, you know, it's a dog, of course they do, but other dogs have never really done this unless you kind of force them when they're really sleepy. But Cappy will just jump in your lap whether you want him there or not. So he often sits with me when I'm playing games, and I think it's funny sometimes because he'll sit on my lap, so I'll rest my hands and my controller on him, and he doesn't seem to mind until the vibration function goes off, and then he freaks out a little bit. But, you know, he's just so quiet and still that sometimes you forget that he's on you. So, you know, I get kind of sometimes physically involved when I'm gaming. I don't know why he still sits in my lap. That's the gist of this segment, is that Cappy is a mystifying creature who will never, ever be explained. But, you know, gaming with puppies is the ideal way to game still, even if you constantly upset them.
It's summertime now, folks. Well, I guess not quite officially yet, but almost. And so this is just your reminder from the ladies of Talk This that you do not need to feel guilty about staying inside and playing video games on a day when the sun is out and the weather is quote-unquote nice. As Emma will tell you, the summer is too hot. If anything, on a bright, sunny day, you have more reason to stay inside and play video games than on a rainy day. I don't know about you folks, but on a rainy day, I start to feel a little bit cooped up. I start to feel like, man, I wish I could get out of the house and go do something fun, but it's rainy and gross. But I wish I could go out anyway. And so, if anything, make sunny days your time for video games. You'll avoid sunburn. You won't sweat too much. You're going to feel a lot better hanging out in your AC. Not that I'm saying this to justify any of my own behavior or anything. No, I would never do that. Just telling you that it's okay to waste a nice day playing video games. It's okay.
Hey guys, as always, thank you for listening to our side quest. Me and Madelyn are here now at the end to pick out the games since we forgot to do them last episode.
We actually forget to pick out the games pretty much every other episode or so.
Yeah, we kind of suck at this.
Sometimes we catch it in time to record it separately at the end, and this time I had to work, so we didn't. So, let's pick some games.
Okay, Madelyn's picking the old game.
From the One Direction hat, as usual.
We really need to get some thematically appropriate hats.
Listen to that pleasing sound. I'm looking at it because I was like, oh, Kingdom Hearts. And I was like, wait, I can't do that. Super Mario Bros.
Oh, good.
I'll have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Okay.
Why are you, oh, you're holding it to, I was like, why are you holding it to me? Here's the new game.
Woo!
This is exciting for us, but probably not a very exciting listen.
Persona 5!
Oh, no.
Yes!
Well, look out next week for a 5-hour-long episode from Emma detailing her every thought about Persona 5. Also, plumbers.
This will be a fun mashup, actually.
Alright, so thanks for tuning in for this supersized, not really that supersized, but like 20% longer side quest today.
And we'll have a new episode for you next week with the games you just heard. So make sure to tune in for that. And follow us on all of our social media channels at Talk This Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And check out, we've got some more show notes up.
Yeah.
Just a few.
Just a couple.
We're making our way.
So check out our website at talkthispodcast.com. And yeah, as always, have a great day.